So I wanted to share with you a story about backups. So this one is a doozy. So I was working for Burroughs at the time. I was working as a system engineer, and was scheduled to go out and install an update for the operating system on a B1000 up in, I think it was up in Galesburg. And so I drove up there, and I had a disk pack with me that I usually kept the operating systems on, so I had the version that they needed in order to be updated. And that included all kinds of patches and features and updates and all that stuff. So I had scheduled some time after hours. They had a normal business hours, so when they performed their normal business routine, from I think it was around 8:30 till about 5 or something like that. So I was scheduling to come in around 5:30 and then take the machine until I was done, and then and this was a Friday night, of course. That way I had all weekend to work on it if I needed to. Sometimes the operating system patches went good, sometimes they didn't. So anyway, I'm waiting. I got there about 4:30, I guess, and I'm waiting around, and the operator comes in about, I think around 5 after 5, says, "We're all done. You can take it." So I walk into the computer room, and I start to walk over to the disk drives, and I notice that every one of the drives have a red light on, and I'm looking at the red light, and it's the fault light. So that means drive fault. Drive fault means something happened to the disk. There's a crash. Usually that's what it meant. And, so I stopped, and I went back out, and I told the DP manager, I said, "Are you aware that every one of your drives," they had 4, "every one of the drives are crashed out there?" And he said, "No, I didn't know that." And so so we got the operator and asked him, and said, "How long has that red light been on?" And he said, "Oh, it's been on for a week or two." And I said, did you not know what it was?" And he said, "No, I didn't know anything about it. I just figured it was just some kind of a maintenance thing that needed to be done." I was like, "Oh yeah, it's a maintenance thing, all right." So I called the field engineer guys, and I said, "Hey, we got a problem. I've got 4 drives that are down," and the way they did their backups was they did 2 different kinds of backups, which was good, and then they had the grandfather, father, son that they kept. One was kept off site, one was kept in a vault, and the other one was kept in the computer room. But they had been backing up pack to pack, and I guess at some point one of the operators had dropped one of the packs, and during as things progress, you put it in one drive and then you move it to the next drive to back it up. So it had to be more than 2 weeks. I would say probably at least a month. That bad pack went through and crashed every single machine that was in there. And so I called the field engineers, and I said, "Look, we've got a problem. They've got 8 packs that we can't trust. Unless you guys can get out here, I think I would. I mean, can you guys gather up 8 packs? I mean, this is like on a Friday night, and everything is closed. I mean, all the warehouses are down, and they won't be open until Monday." So I called my boss down in Springfield and said, "Hey, we got a problem up here. I need some disk packs." And he had just happened to have 4 that he had ordered that had just come in on Thursday and put them into use yet. So he got one of his guys to drive it up to us. It was about 100 and some miles, 125 miles I think he had to drive to get those up. But we were still short 4. So the field engineers managed to find 3, and I surrendered my operating system back and said, "You can have this. I don't think I'm going to be getting to putting up the operating system. And even if I did, I wouldn't want to do that until we're certain that the system's stable before introducing another variable, right? You don't want to just throw an operating system update on top of what's already bad. You want to make sure that you have a stable platform before you go up on a release." And so I gave him my pack, and so there went my upgrades. So I didn't know what I was going to do after that. So anyway, They came in, they looked at all, they got the drives out, and they have equipment that they can look at microscopically what's going on with the heads and with the surface of each one of the platters. And sure enough, yeah, every one of the drives were scuffed. The heads were all scuffed. So scuffed means crashed. I mean, those particular drives actually had wings on the side of the read-write heads, and they actually flew just above. I think it was like half the diameter of a human hair. So they were really close to the surface of the drive, and yeah, those had all touched and burrowed into the surface of the drive, which of course dug out nice little channels. You could see it. You could see that there was clearly, there was marks on the drive that it had destroyed itself. And the heads, some of them were cracked. And of course, if you have a cracked head, that's bad. Anyway, so we settled in for, this was going to take some time because at that point, he had no backup except for his tape. And I think the last full backup he had done on tape was, they did those monthly, I think, and then they did periodic, just like incremental backups during the week. So they had just finished an incremental backup that day because they did them on Friday. So they had a fairly recent version of the backup, but not good enough. So it was done in the morning, I think, and then they had that whole day that they were processing. So what we decided to do was leave the packs crashed and then fix one, and then put a new pack on it and see how much data we could get off of the damaged packs onto a good one that was running. So they went through the head alignment process. That's about a 4-hour job, and they had I don't know how they managed to find that many heads because that particular drive had 7 platters. And there's 2 heads per platter, except for the top and the bottom. But anyway, yeah, that's about 12, I think, about 12 heads that they had to replace. So, and each one of those takes about 40 minutes to do. So, yeah, you do the math. I mean, we were there a while to get that up, and then copied it over. Did a verify on it, made sure that all the data was there, and it looked like there was no, I mean, yeah, we hit some files that were corrupt that we couldn't do anything about because they were damaged. They were in the area where the head destroyed the system, but I wrote a program that night in order to get around those, the rectangle around them, and then get the rest of the data off and onto the pack. So I was able to get about 90% of it, maybe 95% of the data off of some packs, and 99% of the data off of others. So I got pretty far, and what we were missing was they were operating system files, which was no big deal. They had tapes of the operating system that I had left the last time I was there, and so we were able to get the operating system back to where it should be. So that was good. The operating system was working. And we started rebuilding all these drives overnight. Well, it took us, in order to get through 8 drives at 4 hours, that's a 36-hour job, plus the time to do the backup. So, yeah, I was up pretty late. I was up several days working on this thing, taking naps behind the drive, literally taking naps behind the drive while I was waiting on them. And then I'd get in and do my magic and to try to make sure that we got as much of the data off as I could. Then once we had the packs all rebuilt, we took the tape drives that they had, backups on it, and then restored it the rest of the way as best we could. Would you believe that after all that work, that DP manager was mad at me? He was angry at me because they had lost, I think it was 5. They did their updates in batches of 30 changes, and they lost 5 batches. So that'd be 150 changes that they needed to make over again. And I just looked at him and I said, I can't believe it. You're telling me this. I said, when I walked in here, you had no data and no backup. Nothing. You were destroyed. Your entire business was laying on the floor in bits. So you can be mad at me if you want. That's fine. But I'm going to do the best I can to bring you back up. I'm not guaranteed I'm going to get everything back. But I'll do the best I can to try to help you. But ultimately, this is your problem. And I just put it on his shoulders and ultimately, this is not my problem. This is your problem. But I will help you fix it as best I can. Well, he appreciated that. So he kind of calmed down a little bit after explaining to him, hey, I'm doing you a favor. But we got it back up and running. The field engineers were nice enough to order me a new pack, so I got a brand new pack out of the deal, and so I went and put a new copy of the operating system on it with the changes, and then rescheduled to come back out there, and they learned from that. What had happened was the light had come on one of the drives because one of the packs had crashed. That happens. I mean, they get old sometimes and the substrate will peel off, and when that happens, the head just collides with a bunch of debris that is coming up off of the drive and crashes. Well, they perpetrated it by mounting that bad drive and that bad pack on other systems, so it was crashing as it went along through the chain. They learned from that. So yeah, they at that point they did not rotate the packs through anymore. They assigned specific packs for backups on specific drives, and that helped. So, and then they beefed up their tape backup procedure so that they had full backups at the end of each week and deltas every day. So that was good that they had done that. So yeah, those were all lessons learned. Painful ones. I think it took 42 hours to fix the problem. So yeah, I was there all weekend and part of Monday. Trying to grab some sleep here and there as I could. But yeah, it was that is a terrible problem to have, and I hope never have to have that problem again. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the story.